Whenever they need me, I'm always there for them. But if there's something wrong with me and I ask, can you, talk to me? I get no help. It's so unfair. Oh, what am I supposed to do? Maybe you're a little bit resentful? Huh? Welcome back to my channel, guys. If it wasn't obvious already, I want to talk about resentment today because this feeling is, number one, gross. Number two, I feel like I'm qualified to speak about this because I've really decreased my resentment this year. Okay, so quickly we're going to do what is resentment, why is it bad, and my top tips for how to understand it more and try decrease it so you're happier and healthier. Let's go. So what is resentment? Resentment is the feeling of pain we get when we feel like we've been treated unfairly. So if we had a pool and we put a lot of fish in it and each fish resembled one of our memories, the memory that had the strongest hook onto it is probably how we can think of resentment. It's our strongest anchor to the past, which is why it can hurt so much and cause so much, distrust in a relationship. The example I gave at the intro is probably a classic one, where you feel like you're giving a lot and you're not getting a lot back. And this imbalance can therefore create a lot of anger within ourselves because we feel very powerless. And this anger then just translates into a very nasty feeling that we have to carry around and bring into our relationships, which we don't want. So why do I think this is bad in the first place? I've got 3 reasons. Number one, you put yourself into the victim mentality more because you'll be using the word unfair more. I think if possible, try get rid of this word in your vocabulary because to me, it just correlates with the victim mentality at all times. Number 2, our ego can become even more active because we try to get into this position of power, because remember, we feel very powerless when we're resentful, and then we put ourselves into this position of power saying, you owe me now, so you have to make it up to me, to the person that we feel has treated us unfairly, which is not a good dynamic to have. And thirdly, resentment automatically creates distrust, and we don't want to have distrust in a relationship because that's, as you've probably heard, like a core foundational need that we want. So now for the juicy part, how do you get over resentment? So firstly, I think we need to understand that resentment isn't necessarily a thing that's just happening now. It's probably linked to the past in some way. So you need to ask yourself, what exactly is the resentment you're feeling right now? How do you feel you've been treated unfairly? And have you ever been treated unfairly in the same way before? And are you confusing the two situations? So I think that's the first question to ask yourself. Secondly, once you've done that, I think finding acceptance is the best thing that you can do. You can't change how another person acts. You can only speak to them directly about what they've done that's hurt you. And then if they respond well to that, then that's good. And if they don't, there's nothing you can do. Thirdly, I think a lot of resentment in our society comes from someone not meeting our needs. And why does this happen so often? Because as a society, we become very attached to singular people. When before, a village used to raise a child, right? And we are all still children, just in adult bodies, is my thought. So try find a village to take care of you. Don't just rely on, your one best friend, your one boyfriend. Try get a few people that, if something bad happens, you can relay to them and you know that you've got a good support network instead of just one singular person. Fourthly, another weird thing that might happen is that you yourself may be the cause of your resentment. So you may think that you're upset at the other person when in fact you're upset at yourself for having put yourself in this situation. So for example, if your friend is living a very, luxurious life maybe and is much more relaxed than you and you have a much more stressful job and you start noticing yourself saying things like, oh, she doesn't even, ever have any problems, she doesn't deserve to even be upset, like I've got all these problems. That's resentment right there, but that's probably more towards your own situation because you maybe didn't follow the path that you wanted to. Maybe you would have wished that you led a life like that person. Next, try see the meaning that you are attaching to the situation. You may get annoyed that someone doesn't call you enough, for example, and this is a fact in itself. And then you adding in, they don't call me means they don't care about me. That's your own opinion on top. And that's what might be causing the resentment, not the actual lack of phone calls. So check what your meanings are and make sure they're actually true before you create this gross feeling for that meaning, if that makes sense. And lastly, try and forgive. I think in our world, we think that forgiveness means accepting and accepting what the other person has done, not thinking of it as a bad thing. And that when we forgive, it means that we think you are right to do that. No, it doesn't mean that. It means that you still think that the thing that they did is wrong, but forgiveness is about yourself. It's about finding the peace for yourself. I hope that helped, guys. And if you enjoyed this, please subscribe or comment so that I can try build up this channel a little more and know what more of you guys want help with, because I really want to, help as many people as I can with all the information that I, read and find out. Right now it's just being kept in my brain and there's nowhere else for it to go. So it would be good if I, you know, some people could actually benefit from all this stupid like research that I do in my spare time. So yeah, bye guys.